gonna do tonight is we're gonna grade our setups. So I'm gonna need help from you guys. What are your stocks? So what I want you guys to put it in the comment. What kind of stocks? Which stocks are you guys looking at for Monday? Doesn't matter if it's just one favorite or what you consider is a good setup. Let's take a look at them and then let's grade those setups, analyze them from many different time frames, and then I'll show you the process to really figure out, are they, you know, C grade, B, A, or A plus. A plus is the ones that we're looking for if you're really feeling like you want to get risky and a high reward type of setup, which is like what I showed you guys the other day is the PIK trade that me and Alex took. You know, once you learn how to identify those, then it is at your will to decide how much you want to risk in that particular trade. And if the setup is more of like a B grade, then you have to constantly remind yourself that okay, since this is a B grade setup, depending on the time frame, depending on the volume, then you have to allocate certain dollar amount. So for this example, if you consider your setup as an A plus, what are you how much are you willing to put in that type of setup? Are you willing to put in 25% in your account, 50% in your account, or do you feel like going all in is appropriate for you? For you, because everybody has different risk tolerance. My all in could be too much for you to handle, right? And at the end of the day, you have to decide for yourself on how you handle these type of risk. Okay, I can't tell you to go all in because it's an A plus setup for me and I'm going all in. That doesn't mean you have to go all in. You have to decide, okay, a setup for me is 50% of my account, right? Because that's how much. Because at the end of the day, even an A plus setup, it's not a 100% win, right? It's not a 100% trade that you're gonna make money. So you have to consider that. Okay. So let's look at the comments here. PIK, AMC, B big. We got SPY, MULN, NVIDIA. Perfect. I like it. All right. I want to see a couple more, guys. A couple more. We got an hour to be here.
Tesla.
Put it in the comment so that way I don't forget it. But we're gonna go over Alex. So AMC. We got AMC here. Let's do the grading. And I want you guys to take some notes here. All right. I want you to take some notes because I want you to analyze what we're talking about tonight because this is very important. Okay. And I'm gonna take some notes as well for myself because even me, I need to remind myself on how I'm analyzing the trades because there's a million things going on when that market bell rings and you need to decide fast. And next thing you know, all your process goes out the window and you're getting too FOMO'd in because the move is happening so fast. Okay. AMC. So first things first, look in the daily. Go to daily. Um, First thing what I'm seeing on AMC, right? AMC on a Friday was obviously rallying up pretty strong. Okay. As you can see right here, it rallied up. And this 200 SMA right here, which is the purple line, we know that is trending downwards. So based on what we've learned in the past, we want to see rejection off of that 200, which it blew through a little bit and then immediately reject pretty far down. But the next thing that we're seeing here is the 10 and 20 starting to cross over and starting to point up right in this area. This is an hourly, and it immediately started rallying up. And it rejected a few times off that 200 until it got up above this candle right here. It closed, and then the next time it tried to shove back down, the buyers started coming in along with the 10 and 20 SMA, right? So now you have backers, buyers was confident that it is trying to break that, and your momentum is upside. So I know that overall AMC has an upside momentum. And then also they had recent news that they invested, what was it, 28 million? I can't remember. What was the number? I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, but something like $28 million dollars invested into a mining company, right? Um, so that's a positive news. Obviously, they're reinvesting the money elsewhere to, offset or hedging their risk. So obviously, buyers started coming in. So I know that AMC has a buying momentum. We'll look at on the daily. We can see it right here. 20 SMA is your next target, which is 1630. Current price 1605, or it closed on Friday at 1580. So that's another 50 cents to the upside before hitting another major resistance. So you look left, and as you can see right here around this level, it's also sold off, right? You see this wick right here. You can see it cleanly. It got in at that 1533, even 35 area. Oh, let me see. How high did that one? The high on that was 1650. So 1650 on this candle. That's how high it went. And the next target is this red candle right here. That is 1725. 1650, 1725. Okay, so now grade wise, grade wise is not is not much of a it's not a high grade to me. This is more like a B setup, right? One is overextended, is ran 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row with mediocre news. And then also keep in mind that the whole war thing and whatnot, right? That's in the background, right? Any negative news could really pull the stock down like freaking hot knife on the butter, right? It just goes right through to your support levels. And so I don't like it that much until rejection off of that 20. I'd like it to get up to around 1650, right? For a short setup. 1650 would be nice on a short setup because I know that is the uh, 20 SMA on the daily, right? We know the daily is strong. So that's how I would grade AMC. On the long side, I would say this is more like a C setup. This is more like a chase, right? So if you look at the smaller time frame, like obviously we have to look on the 5 minutes. Let's clean this up now. On the 5 minutes, right here, it's we're getting away from the 200 SMA, right? So again, it's still more of a chase. Like a good setup for me would be a dip down into a bigger time frame support. Like if you're in a 5 minute, I'd like it to dip down to the 200 SMA on the 5 minute for a potential longing towards the 1650 area. Okay, or in a 1 hour, or in a 1 hour time frame, as you can see right here, right? A dip down to the 200 SMA, which is this is what it's gonna look like, right? It's gonna look like that. So AMC kind of lingers around here, dip down to the 200. That would make it more of like an A setup for me because I know there's a buying momentum with good news. This could lead into the 1650 target. So that's how I would grade it as a setup. As of right now, I don't like AMC. It's not at a major resistance and it's not at major support. Okay. All right. So that one was for Alex. Does that make sense, Alex?
Yes, of course.
All right, awesome, awesome. Okay, next one in the line is PIK. I like this stock, so hopefully I don't get too biased on this. I'm gonna clean this up. I want you guys to really take some notes on what I'm saying here, and then you can repeat the same process of analysis on your own, on whatever stocks you want to trade. That way you're not bound to having to wait for me to find something to trade, right? You can find any stocks, any sectors, doesn't matter if it's one favorite stocks or whatever, you'll know how to identify the setups. Okay. PIK, repeat process. So on the hourly, you have 1, 2, 3. So now you have like literally this is like textbook pattern that we look for, right? This is the stair step up, right? It's literally repeating itself. Okay. So in this case, um, or another thing I want to add on, which I'll incorporate into this analysis, is the volume, right? The volume, you don't want to forget about the volume. So let's just go back to AMC, so that way I can correlate it here. AMC volume, let's go back to the daily. I want you guys to add this into your analysis. As you can see, the volume is not really significant to make it to the upside, right? Because we know AMC has been running, but if you look at the volume in the last month, let's just say right here, right? There's really not significant movements on the volume, which is the bars down here, right? There's nothing significant that tells me confidently that, hey, AMC is gonna blast through like, a squeeze. Nothing. If today or Friday was this volume guy right here, right? This guy, that would give me a better confidence that this is going to blow right through, possibly off of this 20 SMA on the daily, right? And then potentially target these high levels right here around this level. A green candle with a low volume is not that exciting. Green candle with a volume spike like this, or like this guy right here, right? Any of these guys, that's a significant volume to really pay attention to, because your average is down here, right? This is more than double, okay? So add that onto your notes that volume has to really pick up. And that's what I'm going to emphasize on the next analysis here, PIK. All right, so PIK, we know that it's been squeezing, you know, um, pre-market, pre-market, and it sells off at the end of the day, which is doing the same thing here. And we can see it here on hourly that this is starting to move up, holding against that 20 SMA on the hourly. Now let's go in the bigger time frame, which is the daily. And okay, this has room, further room. This is ridiculously insane. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out some more. Like anywhere you look back here, right? The volume is insignificant, and you'll see it in this corner up here, somewhere up there, right? See the volume, 9,800. This is on the daily, 11,000, 26,000, right? 12,000. Very insignificant. Now, let me show you guys this volume candle right here. This was on 111, right? 111 was 20.9 million in volume, right? You see it up here again, right there. 20.9, and then the next day it was 30.5. So that's pretty high, right? That's a very significant jump from, couple thousand to a couple millions. Okay. Now let me show you this volume. Thursday, 100, going from the best volume it's ever had in its life at 30 million to 124 million, right? That should make your skin stand up and go, something's freaking happening here. All right. And then you couple that with the news. And you're like, okay, news, partner with Disney. That's what it was. Partner with Disney with their cheaper by the dozen show or movie. Okay. 124 million. The following day, on a Friday, and for those of you that don't know what happens on most Fridays is like a slow day sell-off most of the time, because it's Friday. You have to think about all the hedge fund traders, right? They want to take time off, they get off early, or they want to pull out their money and close out any of the positions, because some of these traders, hedge fund traders, they're not allowed to hold trades over the weekend. So they have to close off all the trades, and that's why you have the effect of the sell-off. That's the behavior. Okay. But it did 110 million shares of volume. Okay. And then you add that into looking at your market analysis. Let me see if I can find uh, an example. Finviz.com. And then we will do PIK, market cap. Let me see, where is that at? think I was trying to find this the last time it wasn't showing, but what I'm looking for is this shares available, shares outstanding right here. You see right here, shares outstanding. There's 6.3 million shares overall in the company, and it's saying shares float, which is that's how much is floating out there in the public available to trade for everybody, right? Just think about this. There's only 5.5 million shares available to go around, okay? And the stock has traded, 124 on Thursday, and then 110 million on Friday. What is that? 234 million. 234 million. Just think about that. How many times has the 5.5 million shares available has rotated? There's so many demand on this because it's got a good news, right? So for me, this is still like literally an A plus setup. Now you just have to think about, are you willing to, you know, risk your dollar? How much are you willing to risk in this particular setup? So in this case, there's so many people shorting this stock as well. Not that one. This one. Where'd it go? Hang on. Okay. So we can see it right here, right? This short float right here is not updated. I guarantee you, that's not up to date. But it should be a lot higher than that. Shorts. How many shorts are in positions? Okay. So in this case, my 1 hour setup is above the 20, right? My 5 minute setup is sitting right at the 200 SMA above it. We're in a bullish momentum on the 15, and then on the 1 minute, we're also above the 10 and 20 and the 200. So Alex, can you tell me how many layers of supporting evidence do you have here for the long side?
Yeah, looking left, we have more supporting to tell us that it's going to go up instead of it going way down.
Right. So in this case, there's so much supporting evidence analysis that's on favor to the upside. So therefore, I like the risk reward ratio, right?
And the demand is crazy
And
for it, like
the
way more than are available. So it's like, dude, you're asking for this to freaking skyrocket.
yeah, so logically, based on every data that we can find that can support our thesis to the upside is all there. They're all lining up, and it's hard to even question that it could sell off. But again, there's that possibility that it can. And here's what that possibility is, right? And you have to keep this in mind. So all the ingredients of this thing can really squeeze hard based on volume, based on available floats, right? Based on our charts, indicators, okay? That's all aligning. But here's one thing that can collapse this whole thing is the company will then um, uh, do what do you got? An offering. An offering is basically the inside owners who want to liquidate their portion of ownership. Like, hey, we want to sell um, 2 million shares at the money, which is whatever is its current price. They want to unload 2 million shares. But let me ask you this. If they unload 2 million shares at the money, which is when they say they want to unload 2 million shares, they don't mean to just slowly like sell it off. They mean hit the sell button at market value now. And that's what causes like remember Alex, we're trading after hours or at pre-market, and we're selling 1,000 or 5,000 shares, and
Yeah.
we can see the red wick candle down.
Yep.
Now imagine 2 million shares
That's
hitting.
halts going down.
That's halts going down. Exactly. And when you do that, it's like, yeah, you have so the chart patterns right now. Okay, this is the analogy and the psychology behind this, what's happening. So think of this. All of the indicators is saying I'm going up, I'm going up. All your fundamentals, shorts, floats, all that stuff is lining up. The volume is lining up. The psychology behind it is like you're a fishing person and you're just sprinkling a bunch of baits into the water, right? A bunch of baits all around the water, and all these fishes are coming in. All these fishes is the traders, right? Okay, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's so much baits, yeah, yeah, yeah," and everybody's coming in just excited and feasting on the free baits. And then here comes the guy. It's like, "Oh, look at all these fish. Now let me light up this dynamite and throw it in the water." That dynamite, that's a 2 million shares. Okay, so when you throw that dynamite in the water, it just kills everybody instantly. But guess what? The rest of the fishes that was like thinking about getting those baits, they're gonna stay the f away from that thing. And that's what happens. That means this stock is now dead. Like nobody's buying this thing until it hits bottom. Okay, until the company releases another, news to excite everybody else again and dropping more baits in the water, and they rinse and repeat that process. Okay, so this is why I want to give you that psychology behind that setup, because you could also be stuck in that dynamite situation. This is an A plus setup, but just know that that is the worst possibility on the other side, and I've seen it happen. I've been a part of it, and you don't want to do it. Basically what I'm trying to say is you got 1, 2, 3 days of buying frenzy. It's just a matter of time before they throw that dynamite, and they do it. Trust me. Okay. All right. So A plus setup with a very scary worst scenario. So trade or risk, how much you're willing to risk. All right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Next one. I'm gonna try to go faster this time, so that way I got everybody a chance because I'm getting too excited about explaining all this. Okay. On the hourly, not looking so good. On the daily, be big. Be big is not that great of a setup. It's rejecting or starting to show weakness into that 20 SMA. 20 SMA is trending down. You have a solid resistance right here at 275. So 275 is currently sitting at 258. That's where it closed pre-market, 258. So that's only a 25 cent upside, right? 25 cent upside. And if you look at the fundamentals on this thing, I think the float, as you can see, 136 million shares outstanding. The float is 123 million, so it's a little bit higher on the float side. So it's gonna take a lot to move this company. It's a 229 million dollar market cap. So moving this, it's possible to double it if they had great news for a hedge fund to put in you know 150 to 100 million dollars into that company and move it. But setup wise is on the chart is saying that it's already rejecting. Let's look at the 5 minute. 5 minutes kind of extended, low volume as well. You can tell it's low volume because of all these like choppy um, price action, right? We want to see more of a price action than this. And it's not really in play because it hasn't popped up on people's radar. But again, setup wise, it's a stock not in play. So therefore, you're just hoping that this company will release something positive, and to move it, there's not much high chance to squeeze it, because of the float. It's a high float. So grade wise, I would make that into like a C. Like it's not for me. Okay. All right, be big. I got over that. Let's go SPY. SPY is the next one. Okay, so large cap companies is going to be a different type of analysis. More of a technical. If you want to go fundamentals, you have to look at the overall market structure, like the war, the interest rate, potential legislation, or whatever it may be. If you're playing large caps companies like SPY, Tesla, Amazon, right? Uh, they're more affected based on the the current events. And if you want to trade them short term, obviously follow your charts. So right now, let's look at the chart setup. Looking left. Let's go maximize this. Okay, so we're approaching the 200 daily, right? Daily resistance. Based on behavior, again, that is a very strong resistance. We're literally right there. So if we pop up right there, we need a great news to really blast through that. But I doubt it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 days, 4 days of upside momentum. There's going to be a lot of profit taking to be had, right? Especially after this sell-off. People will be more than happy to cut their losses right here or minimize losses from all these people up here that didn't sell from the initial market sell-off. No, move. So short-wise, this is going to be like an A setup for me on the short side to see weakness right into that 200 SMA. So tomorrow's play, if you're going to be doing a SPY options trade, keep in mind that the 200 SMA is right there on the daily, right? Once you look at the 200 SMA, right? You can see it on the 1 minute and the 5 minute. So we're gonna maximize 5 minute here. As you can see, right here, that's the 200 daily moving average. As you can see right there, it got up so close and it started selling off. So tomorrow, I'd like to see it pop up into that 200 SMA and then find our pattern. Once it sells off below the 10 and 20 on the 5 minute, I'd take that as an A setup. I would even grade it closer to an A plus setup to the downside. Okay. Um, if you want to play the long side, wait for the 200 SMA bounce because you have an upside momentum on the 5 minutes. All right. Okay. Let's go MULN, MULN, MULN. Okay, I think MULN has news as well. Let me see. Automotive. This is an EV company, which is all the EV stocks have been running along with the market, right? So decent news. It's on the daily, it's far away from the 200 moving average. So you have a lot of room from what is that? 261, 290 to the 200. All of your other indicators. The 1 minute is looking a little weak, but that's all right. The 5 minute is good. The 5 minute. So dip down to the 200 SMA on the 5 minute would be a better um, long entry. You have a lot of upside. Let me see on the 15. On the 15, you have a pretty decent pattern, right? The steps up. You have this, and then obviously it's the same pattern. This what PIK did. It consolidated like this, and then it blows through. So first breakout is right here. Second breakout is right here. And then when you get start drawing these breakout lines as well, pay attention to the volume. Okay. Pay attention to the skip up. I always talk about being able to break through a resistance, it needs to for the volume to pick up. Like if you look at the volume right here, you see that blue candle or the blue line. This was the breakout, right? Because it dipped down to the 10 and 20, and you know you have support right here. And then volume picked up and just shot up, and then retested that area again, and then the volume picked up again. You can see it right here. Volume on uptrend. Okay. And then same thing what happened here, volume picked up because in comparison, the average was down here in volume, and then the next day the average was right here. So you had a gap of volume increase between here, right? Between this area. Okay, let's take a look. Grade wise, yeah, again, dip down to the 200 SMA on the 5 minute would be a long entry, and then you have an upside all the way to the 200 possibilities because this thing's been running the last few days. And based on what I know, it didn't run with the market. It just, based on news and catalyst. And let's take a look at the float as well. Where'd it go? Here we go. What was this? MULN. MULN. Ooh, yeah, nice. Shares outstanding, 17.4 million. It doesn't show the float, but that's pretty decent. That's low enough. I like it below 10, but you can move 85 million dollar market cap pretty easily, right? One hedge fund can put in 100 million and this thing skyrockets. Okay. So yes, MULM is good, and then we have an upside of potential 770 to the 200 daily average. So in this case, I would say an A plus setup would be a dip down to the 15-minute 200 SMA because you have a pretty nice trend. Risk reward ratio wise is going to be better because you have by the time this 200 meets up here and then this price comes down to it, you have all these area as your support. You can see it right here, right? This is the most consolidated area. Okay, so that's where I would like to buy it. But if you don't want to wait that long and the stock just starts to move above $3 is going to be your much cleaner entry. Above $3, you take this. This should squeeze because all these short sellers right in this level will be in pain. They're going to be sweating, can't sleep. All right, they're going to have stop losses somewhere in this area right here. Stop loss right there and stop loss right here. Okay, so this is a short accumulation with an uptrend on the bigger picture with good news. With good news, and then go back to the daily. Let's look at the volume. Oh man, the volume's already telling you guys. Okay. Wow. Wow. Woo. Wow. Okay. This is why you should get excited. Look at this volume. Look at that volume spike. Okay, now you can't see it. Look at this. Guys, that is insane. Look at this. Okay. If you look left, you look at my bar again, right? Somewhere up here. Okay. Look at those volume. 13,000, 520, 25,000. Those things are tiny. And then you get to these volumes, 631 million, 504 million. Guys, this thing is not done. MULN, again, our target is a 200 SMA on the daily, and it has that high possibility because the volume is telling you right here, everybody's accumulating. Okay, somebody's collecting shares down here. All right, so yeah, A to A plus setup on MULN depending on the time frame. You're always gonna have that small time frame drawdown, so just know that. But overall, MULN, if you were like a swing trader, this is what I would hold and just forget about it for a week. This is gonna blow up. All right.
Has
Gian,
options too, man.
what's that?
MULN has options too.
Yeah, this thing has been giving up a couple 100% every day on its move. NVIDIA. Okay. Are you guys loving this so far? This type of analysis?
Yeah, definitely very helpful. I like it.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, NVIDIA. Again, we're back to the large caps. Let's go here. Duh. This is also a chip company. So we know right now chip shortage, right? There's a lot of talk about chip shortage with the war affecting it, and we are hitting resistance level right here. One, two, and then three right here, right? And we also know that it sold off right around this level. So right now, to match it with the other large cap companies like SPY, Tesla, and all that, it's overextended, right? Um, is there any good news? You know, I'd look into that. If you invested, nothing really in particular. So it's just a bunch of, neutral news. Nothing like Nvidia did a contract with, you know, Ukraine to order X amount of chips for their tanks or whatever. right? There's nothing like that. So it's more of a just momentum along with the other large cap companies. Um, let's look at, let's see if there's any kind of weekly resistance. Ooh, there we go. Here's your next target. Okay, so now we can see it. I had to go to the weekly to see the next resistance. That's a much cleaner indicator. So the 20 SMA on the weekly. So now you have a chance to 270. So 270 will align with this guy right here. So if you draw a line right here, right? So around 270 area aligns with this resistance. So now that would be an A plus setup for me to the short side because I know this thing is overextended and there's going to be a lot of profit taking to be had here. So what we're looking for on NVIDIA is an A plus setup is to get to the 70, 270, 271 area and then look at our 5 minute. Our 5 minute setup, what we're looking for again is the upside down basket. Let me find a good setup here. Okay, right here. Okay, there you go. So this is the setup you want right here. Okay, you see that? You see the exhaustion right here? It shot up overextension. It's like boom, 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 getting tired. It goes into a dip area. It runs up, makes a lower high, and then falls below the 10 and 20 on the 5 minute. And then boom, this is the move that you're looking for on a bigger time frame, which is like you could if you see this on the hourly, right? Or this is more like the expectation on the hourly, but your entries on the 5 minute. So your entries on the 5 minute below the 10 and 20, and then you just ride that bad boy down. Everybody's gonna be profit taking on the downside, right? Because they've been riding it for so long, um, for multiple days. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the whole entire large cap is 4 days of running, right? We're talking billions of dollars. If that's the case, they're gonna exit the market. Potential retrace back down to the 200 SMA, 200 daily SMA, right? And that would be another setup for a bounce. Okay, so that's NVIDIA. Next stop is Facebook. Facebook. Okay, daily. Oh man, Facebook. Next resistance is right here. The reason I draw that line is because the last time I got up there, I think this was COVID situation. This is where the sell-off, March of 2020. Yep, that was COVID shutdown. And let's see. So we got the basket. Ideally, 222. Where is that at right now? 216. Okay. So 222 is doable for Facebook for Monday. And then I would be looking at the short side for profit taking retracement back down to the 10 and 20. And then the 10 and 20 is going to start to cross over like this. Let me see. Like this, right? So retrace back down to the 10 and 20 crossover on the daily would be ideal. 222, 223, possibly even 224 is going to be the numbers that you need to pay attention to. You're looking for the 5 minute curl on the downside for short. Okay. So right now, setup wise, I wouldn't want to chase it, but you want to see the 5 minute show this. The same thing, right? Exhaustion, trace back down. It can't pop above, stays below the 10 and 20, and you take short. That's the setup I'm looking for at the 222, 223 price area. As of right now, I wouldn't chase it. I'd stay away from it or wait for a dip back down to the 200 SMA on the 5 minute because you have a solid uptrend. Potential target, if it comes back down to 212, your next target is 222. Okay, so that's a pretty good range. Wait for the dip. As of right now, it's extended, and the market is already coming down anyway. You can see the ES, right? Slash ES. Ooh, whew. Yeah, the market's coming down tomorrow. Oh man, it's so clean. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Look, ES is already hitting the 200 daily average, and it's already got a red candle. Oh yeah, Yep, yep. And then if you look at the 5 minute, look at the 5 minute. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Beautiful. My God, this could not be even more perfect example. Okay, this is the orange line right here is the daily moving average, right? This is what I talk about. Exhaustion, it can't break because we know that's a 200. 200 daily average. It's a heavy resistance. And then our pattern presented itself right here, right? Basket over below the 10 and 20, and boom, we ride that sucker down. And the potential target is the 200 SMA. Potential bounce up to retest the 200. And if rejects again, repeating this area right here, you're going to go a lot further. So therefore, this 200 SMA is going to be weaker on the second test, and then you're going to be targeting the 15-minute or even the 30-minute 200 SMA. All right, that's on the ES. And this is why I also look at the ES because again, this is the mother of all trend. Whatever the ES does is basically just a result of what's about to happen to the rest of the stocks. Okay, Roku. Roku. Roku on the daily. Let's see, current price 125. 125. It's right here, 125.50. Let's draw a line right there. Next target, I can see it right here. What is that? 130, 130, 125, 135. So on the daily right here, I can already see same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, same patterns. Again, this is a large cap company. We're already uh, blowing through the 20 SMA on the daily, right? This is the resistance level based on the chart. And then if we look at the volume, volume is not not something to be excited about, right? Mediocre volume. If it was this volume right here, something to be excited to keep going up. But as of right now, that's really nothing, nothing to be excited of. Let's look at the bigger time frame or the smaller time frame. Um, pretty choppy that day. 15. Okay. Yeah, I would wait if you want to play the long side. Wait for the 200 SMA because you have an uptrend. A better entry would be the 15 because now you have the basket going on, and then you have a lot of supporting area right here. All the people that went long is gonna want to defend this zone right here, right? We can tell. So Roku, not too excited about it to the upside. Resistance, yeah. I would say it would go to the 200 SMA if this volume is the one what we're looking at for on Friday. If this was the volume, this guy right here, right? If this was the volume for Friday, then I would be like, all right, Roku's gonna continue, has more chance to go up, but that's not the case. Okay, let's see. XPEV. Where are you getting XPEV from, Gertie? Chinese?
So, I don't fucking know.
Why are you choosing that stock?
Because we've traded it before.
Okay. All right, so XPEV on the daily, immediately resisting the 20 SMA on the daily, right? If we draw the line, this guy, it matches this guy right here. That's the ceiling. Pretty sharp, 30, 38. Volume is pretty significant. So I like the volume, right? Look at that. It's climbing compared to all the volume on this one right here. So let's zoom out.
Got a gap fill sometime.
Gap fill. And this is a Chinese stock, right? China stock.
I have no idea.
Yeah, this is China stock. EV vehicle. What makes it different from Tesla? Okay. So this is just going with the trend with the Chinese government trying to back its publicly traded companies to ensure that, hey, we're going to be stable even without the U.S. Stock market being listed. Like the whole rumor of Chinese companies going to be delisted from the U.S. stock exchange. The Chinese government is ensuring that, hey, your money is safe with us, and we'll make sure that our company is stabilized. So that's the run up. Again, it's resisting on the 20 SMA on the daily. So right now, you know, based on that news of the government backing it and ensuring that their Chinese companies are stable, if you want to play on the long side, I would wait for the dip onto the 200 SMA on the 15 minutes because you have a pretty solid trend here, right? And then the 1 minute and the 5 minute is kind of choppy. As you can see, it's already making like, confused decision. It's not a clean swoop like what you see here in the 15. The volume is there. Again, the volume is there, so it's in favor to the upside. It's not that great of a setup. It's more of a chase, buying the dip situation. Okay, so that's XBEV. AMD, Snap, AMD, oh, AMD. AMD on the daily, you have resistance on the 200 SMA. You are above the 20 SMA here. You are above here, and then let's take a look at your volume. Volume was high, and then started to fade, but you're still pretty significantly higher from the previous couple months. Okay, so you have an increasing volume on AMD. I think it's the same play as NVIDIA. Okay, you still have your 200 daily moving average. It's still a pretty solid uptrend with a break. As you can see, it broke one, two, three times, and it's still trying to push it up. Okay, you have also a lot of support levels right here. Is all a lot of support levels in this area.
Hey,
So
TJ, question.
go ahead.
So on the volume, do you normally take note of the volume on the daily time frame, or do you look at it on other time frames also?
I
Like
look.
what's your thoughts with volume?
So I'm on a daily, I'm looking for continuation. So when I consider the volume on the daily, I'm looking for, does it still have a chance to continue? And if the answer is yes, because I see it on continuation, then I go in a smaller time frame to look at the pattern. So a dip down to the 20 SMA or the 200 SMA on the 15 would be a much cleaner entry to go long because I know the volume increase is there for me and the pattern is there, right? Just keep in mind that you are approaching the 200 daily moving average resistance, and it needs to get above that. Once it gets above that, it's a confirmation the volume is still there to keep going, right? But just know that 200 moving average could be a potential pullback, and you could time it wrong, right? Like I'm saying, the volume is there, it should keep going, but then you get in to go long at the 200 moving average to go long, and now you're getting, rug pulled on because people are taking profits for the next support level area, which is the 200 SMA on the 15 minute. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Yes, the volume is something I pay attention to for continuation on the daily, and I look at it as well in the smaller time frame, an increase, right? When I'm in a trade, especially scalping, like I call out, okay, I'm looking to get in on the 5 minute. Let's just say on the 5 minute here, right? Let's just say on the 5 minute, I'm looking to get in on this dip right here, right? It's clean. Obviously, you saw that dip, and then look at the volume climb, right? That volume climb right there is enough for me to say I'm gonna take that trade, right? And then you can see it. You can see every single time. And remember, on when you're on the trade, you can see the volume the moment the next candle opens up. You can see how fast it climbs up like this, right? You can gauge it how fast it goes up. And that the faster it climbs, that's when I know I can size up a little more. Okay? Like look at this. This is a telltale sign right here. Look at this volume increase right here compared to here. You would have seen this volume climb while you were in the trade or staring at the chart at least. If you were staring at this trade when it dipped down, like that wash, and then the volume climb, I would have loaded the boat on that
And
for a
it's a
short
hammer.
time frame.
And it's a hammer.
Yeah, it's a hammer, and the hammer is not going to form until it closes, but the volume is going to tell me that this is a long trade, right? because I know this is support levels, right? Right here we have a support line, or you can do it right here actually. This is more of a support line because we know that these are tops right here, right? Because resistance becomes support. We know that. And you can see exactly where it dipped down, right into that with volume increase. Oh man, what a clean scalp. There you go. That's AMD.
Is the volume of buyers or sellers, or just what exactly is it, the volume?
You're
Just
so a green candle volume spike is buyers. A red candle volume spike is sellers. There's as clean as that, right? So don't confuse yourself with an increased volume to go long on a red candle, right?
gotcha.
And
Just wait till it closes, then I guess, right?
you can wait until it closes, or you can
Especially
determine
on a lower time
determine
frame.
for yourself. Because to be honest with you, this candle was red at some point before it went green with the volume spike. But then it's your discretion to decide what supporting evidence do you think this is gonna bounce? Can you tell me that? What supporting evidence do you see in this picture right here on this big huge dip?
Is that your 200 daily or
200.
200?
Your 200 SMA.
Oh, SMA. Okay, yeah.
So your 200 SMA is really right there with an uptrend, right? And then you can layer it with your chart. Like I said, you layer it right here. That's support, right? So how many support you got? You got one and two, and the 200 is very strong. Okay. So and then the volume increase, I would have taken that shot. You don't have to wait. But again, it's all discretion. Like you have to decide when to take the trade. When does it, when does your brain trigger to go, I should buy this based on how many supporting evidence can you layer to take that trade? For me, I can process that fast enough to go, oh, you know what? I'm gonna load up right here. You know? Okay. So let me see if I find another supporting evidence here.
For
Same
me
thing.
in my head too, that was like a huge sell off. So people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, it's so cheap. Let's buy it up as well," because it has to retrace. In my head, I think it has to retrace that huge. I mean, I say huge, but it's 5 minute that sell off.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, here's the opposite side of what could happen. You bought that dip, right, expecting that 200 SMA on a 5 minute to hold, 200 SMA on a 15 minute to hold, and it didn't hold. But guess what? The probability of that trade was higher on the winning side than the losing side. So therefore, don't blame yourself or, you know, kind of mess with your mentality to like not trust the setup again the next time it presents itself. Because this setup probability is pretty high, and I'm willing to take a loss on that because I already know the favors on my side. Okay. And that's for you to start really take the trade. And this is why it's very important. I also really emphasize on trade smaller. Because if you want to build your trust on this setup and you're testing it, go small. Go put in 5 shares or 2 contracts, whatever it is, right? Because then you're in the game, you're mentally in the game, you're engaged. If you're just looking at it and staring at it, you're not gonna have this anchor of evidence that you could trust and reuse later on when the next time it presents itself. I've seen this pattern so many times. I bought the dip, made money. I bought the dip and didn't bounce, lost money. But the
It's
probability
just
is on my favor.
it's like it could have been a losing trade, but it was still a good setup.
It was a setup, exactly. And that's all you're doing when you're taking a trade is waiting for your setups and you get in. And if it doesn't work out, so be it. But just let it go. Okay. All right. Let me see. I'm gonna try to blast through. Actually, we're already approaching 1 hour. Damn, time goes by quick. Um, but regardless, the analysis is all the same, and hopefully, me repeating this over and over, this really makes sense to you guys. and start charting it. Start charting for yourself. Like, don't wait for me to do an analysis on a stock, or wait for Tuesdays, Thursdays, and or Sundays, right? Spend an hour by yourself and put something together based on everything that you're hearing right now. Okay? That's the only way you get better. Okay, snap. Man, everything is all the same pattern, literally. Oh man. So I'm looking at it here. Let me see. So the only thing I can see in the next resistance is this level right here. So if I draw a line right here, and it tells you to go left, and that's already, it's not really solid evidence there. You're above the 20 SMA already, right? You're above there. And so let's look at the bigger time frame, and this is probably going to show you what's up there. Why this level is important, right? To pay attention to. And there you go. Well, it's showing it's still got room now to the 20 SMA that it closed above the 10. So the next target is this guy right here. But Snap, again, Snap is probably just following the market too. And we know the market itself is at resistance level. So it could reject this 10 SMA on the weekly and come back down and retrace. So on the other time frame, Snap. So you have Snap on there. Yeah. To be honest, I'm seeing weakness on the 5 minute. I'm seeing weakness right here, right? It's struggling to make higher highs with like volume increase, right? We can see the volume is just mediocre right here. It's not much. I mean, at the end of the day, that's again, that's closing position volume. Yeah. It could keep going. It could keep going to the 200. We'll see. I don't like having to chase because, as you know, on the daily, right? It's overextended. I get at least you only have one day on the, or is that 1 week? So let's go on the daily. No, not that. Yeah, you still got 4 days. One, two, three, four. So it's the same thing as all the large cap companies. 4 days overextended. Who knows? It could continue to go to $38 before coming back down. I don't like chasing it, but wait for the dips if you want to trade these large cap companies. All right, so let's go through questions. Sorry if I didn't get to your stocks. Let me see. I'll do one more. What stock should I do? I'm gonna pick one. Okay, let's go with Tesla. Everybody loves Tesla. Tesla on the daily. Let's go. One, two, three, four. Same thing. Ooh, Tesla. So let's draw a line right here because this is the high level. Ooh, that's right up there. All right, so Tesla. This is more of like an A to A plus setup on the short side once it starts presenting itself right here. So resistance. Um, this is probably resistance on a weekly as well. Boom. So we're looking for a rejection back down below this 10 SMA on the weekly, and we have a pretty aggressive trend down, right? The 20 is still curled down. So we know that the possibility of this coming back down is pretty high. And on the daily, it's already showing some weakness, and you have a lot of resistance level right here. So all these people that shorted in this level is going to be doubling down probably tomorrow, and we know the market ES is already selling off. So this would be an A to A plus setup on the short side. Let's look at the 5 minute. Yeah, the 5 minutes already showing some weakness. Yep. Yeah. So struggling here, right? It's different in this particular pattern because Tesla is not a low float, right? If this was a low float stock, like 10 million shares, my opinion would be different, right? This could squeeze if it was like a 10 million share float, right, or less. This pattern would be bullish to me. even at a resistance level, right? Um, if Tesla, oh, let's say if this was a low float company with a good news, then this could really skyrocket. But in this case, it's different. This is a large cap company, $1 billion shares. Let me just show you an example of how many shares is available for Tesla. Okay, Tesla shares outstanding, 1 billion, 1 billion. Shares float. There's 843.5 million shares available to trade. Okay, and the market cap is $909 billion. So we're talking a big behemoth company to move that significantly is very slow. So squeeze possibility in this setup is unlikely after a huge multiple day run up. So Tesla, mm, look for the short side. Look for the short side. All right. All right, let's go through questions and then we'll call it a night. Get ready for tomorrow. All right. Who wants to go first?
Hey TJ, I just got a quick question on that Tesla.
Okay.
So my thinking is kind of along the same lines as yours. It's been running for the last 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that I also watch on Tesla, and this is usually where I I struggle with uh, picking a bias, is like if I chart on the daily on the fib from the last real trend, it's back in early January, right when it was at 1208 was its high. And then if I look at that trend, um, if I look at the trend from like early January of this year, like that last pop before
This one
the
right here.
next one over, the next one over.
This one.
No,
This one.
yeah, 1208. Yeah, if I did that, then and I draw the trend line. The last 2 days, Thursday and Friday, it's really the first time that it's popped above that channel. So in my mind, I'm thinking if it holds above the 905 level, originally I had 891, but if it holds above 905 level, like this coming week, I feel like it has a chance to break 1,000 if it holds. Like it's just gonna keep running, but then at the same time, it's been running for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, it could be hitting resistance and start to reverse. So it's like
Yeah.
usually when it's in this type of play, it's where it messes with my head. Like I struggle with picking a bias to focus on.
Yeah. So one thing that to remind yourself is never expect things to keep going up into beyond the resistance level. Like this is little resistance right here, and then
Yeah,
all this area right here is resistance,
yeah, good
right?
point.
So we
Yeah,
know we know that. Um, we can prove this over and over in many different charts, different companies, different sectors. Whenever it gets into the resistance zone right here, right? It's
right.
going to get choppy or it's going to be very slow, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I'd rather be on the short side rather than on the long side because at least I know the short sides are in my favor. A higher probability because you have resistance one here and you have major resistance two here. So you have,
yeah. With that kind of like that chop zone right there that you just highlighted. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So
uh,
I'd rather be on the short side than the long side because the rug pull, again, Tesla can rug pull too. It moves like a low flow stocks,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's true. Yeah,
So we know that we're already beyond due, extending past the 200 daily, right? When
yeah.
normally the normal stock will reject and chop around the daily before moving up, and this thing blew right through it. So the probability of taking profits right into this resistance zone is pretty high, and I'd rather be on that favor to the downside than being hopeful that it continues to go up.
The stronger, is it accurate to say that the stronger bullish trend would be waiting for it to fill that gap back in like
This gap,
October? No, but
this
yeah,
gap right here.
yeah. After it fills that gap, then it has a stronger move to the upside potentially, or what's your take
Yeah,
on that?
once this gap gets filled, which is I think
Yeah,
it's gonna be a choppier day to fill that gap.
yeah, yeah,
If it blasts through this gap here,
Yeah.
let's say this week or tomorrow even, like
Yeah.
that move is unlikely. Like it's not the how often this kind of move will happen is very low, so you can't
Right.
rely on it.
Right.
Let's say
Right.
you got lucky, you went long and it did blast through. You're you're counting on this low probability of move to happen over and over versus the probability of it rejecting in this zone is it happens more often than this on the upside. That
Right.
makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. So even if it happens, it's like don't rely on that and go all in every time you see something like that, right?
Yeah,
Because
because
the
that's
resistance is much higher than the that one potential play.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're gonna play on the long side, again, you wait for the setup to dip. Like I would say, let's say on the 5 minute right here, right? On the 5 minute, dip down to the 200 SMA, potentially buy that. If that breaks, then you have to expect that the 15 minute um, 200 would be ideally the target if it breaks this 5 minute 200, right?
Yeah.
So you have this gap here. So that's enough to scalp for that's at least a 20-30% move on your spot
Yeah.
on your contract.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any more question, guys? Are you guys loving this? Is this like starting to really connect the dots all together?
Yeah,
I
it's
like
definitely
it.
good to
Yeah.
hear it over and again.
Okay. Cool, cool. Well, guys, happy Sunday. Get ready for tomorrow. I'm excited because all I want to do is trade and I'm pretty much ready for tomorrow to make some more money. We killed it this week, right? Everybody did well.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. My only red day was Monday,
Nice.
and I
Okay.
got chopped up, but then
It's all good.
recovered it the rest of the week. So
There you go. Just rinse and repeat this process of analyzing a trade, guys. Man, from there it's just managing your risk and your emotion, and you're good to go. All right. Cool.
Thank you, TJ.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
good night,
Peace.
everyone.
Yeah.